Hello, everybody. Welcome to the November edition of Book Thoughts with Mr. Bill and Miss Natalie. I am Miss Natalie, the lead teen librarian at KPL.
And I'm Mr. Bill, the lead children's librarian here at KPL. We're super excited to tell you about some of our favorite picks from the children's and teens collections at the library. Kalamazoo's own Emmy Kastner is a co-founder of ROCK, Read and Write Kalamazoo, a nonprofit devoted to celebrating and amplifying youth voices through creative writing and reading. In 2019, Emmy Kastner released Nerdy Babies Space and Nerdy Babies Ocean with Roaring Brook Press. Now I'm so excited. There are more Nerdy Babies books. Nerdy Babies Weather and Nerdy Babies Rocks. I love these informational picture books. The illustrations and the voice is sunny and expresses science concepts in a way that respects the intelligence of children and their adults. From sunshine as the energy that drives change in our weather to precipitation and climate, Kastner respects and presumes the curiosity of children and provides them with lots to talk about and lots to question. A former colleague of mine made me aware of the importance of rare words in picture books, how children will encounter words that aren't used in everyday conversation very much when adults share picture books with kids. The Nerdy Babies books are an excellent example of picture books that introduce rare words, and it feels so natural. I love that these books are available in a board book format as well as a paper-paged picture book format, and I'm already looking forward to more Nerdy Babies books.
Our first teen book that we're going to talk about is a nonfiction book called Who Did It First? This is a book with 50 entries featuring people from all different backgrounds and walks of life who revolutionized the world in some way. So we've got scientists, artists, mathematicians, and then people who just did some other things. And it's also got some really cool pictures in it. So we've got some people that we recognize in there, some heavy hitters like Nikola Tesla, the first person to invent the AC motor, and he did that in 1887. And I would think a lot of people have heard of him. But there's also people in there like Maria Mitchell, who's the first female professor of astronomy in the United States, and she did that in 1865. So this is 20 odd years, or actually 40 years before women could even vote, and she was the first female professor of astronomy in the United States. Also, Emily Warren Ruggling, who was the first person to cross the Brooklyn Bridge in 1883. This is a really great nonfiction book for kids and even some adults who are interested in history, but you don't want to read a book that's like a textbook. This is a nice book that's fully illustrated, has some beautiful pictures in it, and just has nice 2-3 page entries for each person. And it reads really well together, and it's even something a family could read together, or it could be read at bedtime if you wanted to read a few entries before bed. So, highly recommended, very fun book. Has a lot of recognizable people in it, even like Jane Goodall there holding the chimpanzee. But of course, it's got some new folks in there, and it would be fun for you to read it and to challenge yourself. How many things did you learn?
Looking for a little bit of Higa in these times? From the creator of the Caldecott Honor Book, Nana in the City, comes the first in a new series, Our Friend Hedgehog, The Story of Us. Yes, there is such a thing as comfort reading. I think you will find it here in this lovely illustrated transitional chapter book. Hedgehog lives on an island with Muddy. It's a teeny tiny island and it's just them, Hedgehog and Muddy. Then a terrible storm comes and sweeps Muddy away. So Hedgehog does what needs to be done and sets out to find her friend. She meets more friends along the way. First, Mole, who, over cups of horchata, agrees to help Hedgehog to find Muddy. Then Owl, Beaver, a hen and her baby chicks, and even a girl named Annika May, who's recently moved to the neighborhood. With her Instamatic camera, Annika May captures the goings-on. This is their origin story, their story of us. It's all about making new friends and relying on each other. In brief chapters, Lauren Casillo's art and storytelling just feels good. I'm curious where our friend Hedgehog will go with the next books in the series.
Tristan Strong Destroys the World. This is a book by Kwame Mbalia, presented by Rick Riordan. Rick Riordan, of course, of Percy Jackson fame, and we all know that I am a Percy Jackson fan after I've been reading the Percy Jackson and the Olympians books on our read along series. So, because of that, I wanted more Rick Riordan in my life, and I found this book, Tristan Strong, which was also recommended by another librarian at Kalamazoo Public Library. This is about Tristan. He's a boy who's been a little bit traumatized because he has gone to a world called Alke, and it is inhabited by African American folktale heroes and West African gods. Now, he's back in Alabama at his family farm after having saved Alke, but then he starts having these nightmares about his time there, and he starts having a hard time being able to tell the difference between what's real and what's in his nightmares. And he starts seeing somebody like the Shamble Man. This is a spirit that's coming to warn him that the Shamble Man is coming for him. And it gets kind of scary, and there's a lot happening in this book, and it's really excellent, and it's focusing on this African folktale and West African mythology that I just don't feel like is featured enough in main literature. So I highly recommend it. It is just so great. I mean, Anansi the Trickster is in it, and it's so good. This is a sequel to Tristan Strong Punches a Hole in the Sky. That was the first book. Tristan Strong Punches a Hole in the Sky. That was where he saved Alki, and then now here he is being requested to come back to this world, and he's going to destroy the world. Again, great, great book. If you're a fan of Rick Riordan or just black stories or anything involving any kind of adventure, highly recommend this book.
Twins by Varian Johnson and Shannon Wright is a great new graphic novel set in the lives of identical twins who are beginning to differentiate from one another as they come into their own identity. Maureen and Francine are identical twins and best friends. Now, at the beginning of 6th grade, Francine is trying to be more her own person. And while they've always done everything together, the same friend group, same classes at school and activities, this year is different, and Maureen is not sure that that change is good. The school that the twins attend is a different kind of school, at least from my perspective, in that there's a cadet corps class, essentially a military drill course. I thought it was interesting to see into a world with a school like that, and I wondered how many kids could relate. But for the most part, this is a relatable middle school with class elections, activities and clubs, and everything that allows kids, even if they happen to be identical twins, to find their own identity within a community of learning. Francine begins to change up her style and go by Fran instead of Francine. She and Maureen seem to grow apart but rely on one another's support as they progress through 6th grade. And while school is different for all of us here in the real world this year, I think you'll enjoy this endearing look into another school environment. If you like Raina Telgemeier books, you might like this one too. By the way, Varian Johnson is one of the authors who will be part of Kalamazoo Public Library's Youth Literature Conference this year. He's got a bunch of great books across a variety of genres, from the 2019 Coretta Scott King Honor Book, The Parker Inheritance, to teen novels and children's chapter books and series from American Girls to Spirit Animals to books in the Who Is What Was series of informational readers. Check out this great new graphic novel.
Okay, this is about The Devouring Gray by Christine Lynn Herman. This fictional book is really good and a little bit spooky, so I probably should have done this for October, but it's okay. It's practically Halloween still. So, this book is about magical teen heroes. It's really about Violet Saunders, who, at the age of 17, tragically experiences the death of her sister. And then she ends up getting moved by her mom to a small town called Four Paths. One, two, three, four. And the book, she starts to find out, Violet does, that her mom is actually from this town that has this deep dark secret past. And she belongs to one of the founding families of the town, and it starts to get really weird after that. If you are a fan of the Netflix show Stranger Things, you might want to check out this book. And it's really ages 12 plus, but I even think adults would like this book. The the four bloodlines from the four paths, they protect something called the Gray, which is another dimension that imprisons a monster. So yeah, it does sound a little bit like Stranger Things, but I'm telling you, when you're reading it, it doesn't really feel like that. I mean, there's a few things that are in common, but this is just really very good. And we've got three kids in the book: Violet Saunders, Justin Hawthorne, and Harper Carlyle, all of whom are part of these founding father families. And they have to band together to sort of uncover these dark secrets that the founders of Four Paths have tried to cover up, because the monster in the gray is coming for everybody. Again, very good book. Adventure, but kind of spooky. If you like dark secrets and you like magic and monsters, highly recommend.
Before the Ever After is the new novel in verse by Jacqueline Woodson. It reads like contemporary fiction, except it's set in a time 20 years ago before the medical establishment was up to speed on the hazards of brain injury to football players. Zachariah Johnson, named after his dad, the pro football player, loves his dad so much, and it's easy to see why. He's a super cool dad. He's also a super well-known tight end on a professional football team. And his dad loves everybody too. CJ's great friends, his boys, love spending time at his house, and they've always been close. As ZJ's dad begins to experience signs of dementia from so many football concussions over the years, it throws their life into turmoil. ZJ's mom and the rest of his family and his friends stick together as they try to find out what's going on from the doctors who are trying to figure it out too. I loved all the love in this book. ZJ's dad loves football and always has, but he encourages his son to find the thing that he himself loves. For ZJ, it's playing guitar and writing songs. There are some beautiful scenes where the two write songs together. And it's no wonder to me that Jacqueline Woodson was named a MacArthur Foundation Fellow in October. I think her readers have long recognized her genius. In her books, Woodson expresses truths in stories across formats, from picture books to novels for young people and adults. Okay, I know Natalie talked about a Case and Calendar book in her last book thoughts, but I need to tell you about this one too. All the buzz for King and the Dragonflies is so well deserved. This amazing novel picks up a short time after the sudden and unexpected death of King's revered older brother, Khalid. King looked up to his older brother. Khalid was brave, conscientious, seemed to love every moment of life, and helped King with his homework. He was a really great older brother, and now he's suddenly gone. King and his parents are reeling from this tragic, sudden loss. In their shared room, King had often heard Khalid speak from his dreams about another world. And now that Khalid is gone, King is convinced that his brother is a dragonfly and seeks him out every day in the bayou near his home. Then Sandy, King's friend and classmate and the racist sheriff's son, goes missing. I don't want to give anything away in this great story. King and the Dragonflies deals with issues of grieving, racism, homophobia, family, friendship, and how toxic masculinity can damage boys as they begin to understand who they are. There are issues in this book, but here's the thing, it's so well written, I couldn't put it down. Calendar expresses what grieving feels like after sudden loss and taps into the tension between friendship and what can change into liking in a different way and how complicated that can be in middle school. There's so much going on in this well-crafted novel with twists and turns and extraordinary character development. I think you will love it too.
Thank you so much to everyone for joining us for our November edition of Book Thoughts. We hope you enjoyed it as much as we enjoyed it, and we will see you next month on the 1st for Book Thoughts.